How is your week going so far? My name is Alicia.
I'm Nicole.
Why don't we take a little time away from the hustle and bustle of adulting and let's indulge our curiosities just for a bit and talk about killers, psychos, and the unexplained.
Today we are venturing to Arizona to talk about Mark Goudeau and Jodi Arias.
Welcome to Arizona, where Mark Goudeau, also known as the Baseline Killer, terrorized victims in the Phoenix metro area between August 2005 and June 2006. Mark would end up committing 9 murders and possibly 84 other felony crimes, including robbery, rape, kidnapping, sexual abuse, or assaults of minors and adults over a 10-month period. So,
Jesus.
yeah, so like 93 crimes in less than a year. Obviously, Mark was a real busy guy. He would even dress up as a homeless person pushing a cart or wear like Halloween masks and disguises. So, yeah, Mark was born on September 6, 1964. He was the second youngest of 13 children to Willie and Alberta Goudeau. His father ran a strict household and has been described as verbally abusive, and alcoholism ran in the family. Mark's mother passed away in 1976 when he was just 12 years old, which I mean, losing a parent is already very difficult. But in such a large household, it had to have such a massive impact on the dynamics, especially with his father being so abusive. So Mark enjoyed playing sports in school. However, he did not end up completing his classes and he did not end up graduating high school. On November 7th, 1982, Mark and one of his brothers were arrested with charges of raping a woman. However, the woman ended up not pressing charges for some reason, and they ended up not being prosecuted. So this makes Mark around 18 at this time. Then in 1987, he received a trespassing charge, a DUI in 1988, and then in 1989, he brutally assaulted and beat another woman. He did end up being prosecuted for this one and was sentenced to 21 years in prison in 1990. He did not serve 21 years. He served 13 of those 21 years and was paroled in 2004 due to good behavior and being a model inmate. After he was released, he moved into a home near Baseline Road with his wife, whom I guess he had married while he was in prison, and was working as a construction worker. Then, in about a year from this, Mark's horrific crime spree will begin.
Did you say he married someone while he was in prison?
I believe so.
Okay. I do know what happens.
Now, from my understanding, Baseline Road is about a 43-mile stretch. And he's known as the Baseline Killer because he attacked businesses and people either on or near this road.
Okay.
So now, again, he busy, okay? So there's so many crimes that occur. I'm just going to outline them briefly, or else it would take us all day to get through. His first crime will take place on August 6, 2005, when he forced 3 teenage girls behind a church and violated 2 of them. Then on August 14th, there was a sexual assault and robbery. September 8th, 2005, he took the life of Georgia Thomas, who was just 19 years old at this time. September 15th, another sexual assault. September 20th, sexual assault on 2 sisters walking home from the park. One of them was pregnant at this time. So this attack is significant because there was DNA left on one of the women, which will end up leading to his arrest a year later. September 28th, robbery, another sexual assault, and another robbery. November 3rd, another sexual assault and robbery. After robbing a sex shop, he abducted a woman that was placing items into one of those donation bins.
Uh-huh.
He assaulted her and then forced her to actually drive him down the road several blocks and drop him off like away from the scene. She describes him as wearing a Halloween costume. Then November 7th, there was 3 more robberies, including a Mexican restaurant, a Little Caesars pizza, and 3 or 4 people that were outside of these restaurants. So he just
Okay.
robs somebody, pops into the other restaurant, robs a couple more. December 12th, Tina Washington was on her way home from a preschool that she worked at, and Mark picked it. I guess she was at the bus stop. He snatched her from there. He ended up murdering her. December 13th, another robbery. February 20th, 2006, 2 more homicides. So this time it was Romelia Vargas, who was 38, and Myrna Palma Roman, who was 34. were found inside of their snack truck by customers that were coming to like their usual lunch spot.
Uh-huh.
So we're like kind of lined up outside of this truck wondering, usually they're open at this time, what's going on? I want my lunch, you know. And one of the customers was like, well, I'm going to check it out, open the door to find them both just slain in there.
Oh,
Yeah. March 15th, two more homicides. This time it was two coworkers of Yoshi's restaurant that were driving home after their shift together. So Cheo Chu and Liliana Sanchez Cabrera, who was 20. So it's believed that Cheo Chu was just a victim of circumstance. Like he was just driving Liliana home. I guess it was like her first day working at this restaurant with him, and he was just trying to be a nice coworker and say, okay, yeah, I'll give you a ride home. You don't have to, I don't know, ride the bus or wait for an Uber or whatever. And since he had been driving her home, he ended up being murdered in the process of Mark trying to get to Liliana.
right.
March 29th, another homicide. This time, Kristen Gibbons was found in a business parking lot. So I guess like a person that worked at one of the businesses had like seen some blood splattered around and thought that was odd. They called police. They came and, you know, investigated, looked around, didn't find anything. I guess the guy a couple days later was like, man, this don't smell right. Something is wrong. This smells bad. Calls the police again. They come back, reinvestigate, and this is when they discover her.
Because they never checked the dumpster, right?
Don't believe so. I believe that's what happened. April 10th, another homicide, this time Sophia Nunez. May 1st, another sexual assault with the witness describing the attacker as wearing a Halloween mask. And then finally, on June 29, 2006, the homicide of Carmen Miranda. She was abducted from one of those self-service car wash places. Fortunately, this attack was captured on a surveillance camera and is the last crime that's attributed to Mark's awful spree. Hopefully it was his last. But fortunately it was captured and they were able to identify him from that footage. So, wow. Okay, so when I said in the beginning this man was busy, I meant it. So throughout this whole prolific spree, Mark was living a double life. He was married man. He would present himself in the community and to all his neighbors as just like an average blue collar working man. No one thought any different. And they were all very shocked when all these things came to light. And even to this day, they don't believe any of it. His friends and family have strongly defended him, insisting police they have the wrong person. Some have even gone as far to say, well, the Phoenix police framed him because they were so desperate for a suspect. And his wife, Wendy Carr, she even runs a website that she started in 2007 trying to like maintaining his innocence. Now, the police and investigators had a whole lot going on because at the same time Mark decided to go wild, there was another group of murders and shootings in the same relative area by Dale Hausen and Samuel Dietman, or also known as serial shooter. These busybodies killed 8 people, shot or stabbed at least 19 more, and even killed like 10 animals or something. So, like, wow. That's a whole story in its own. So let me get back on track here. But 2 different serial killing sprees, same relative area, by 3 different killers, making it difficult to even like differentiate or know if they were related. Are these the same people? Is this multiple people? What's going on? But basically, the police were baffled and honestly just overwhelmed. The murders in itself seemed like unpredictable. Some of the targets would have been like financially motivated, like all the robberies.
Yeah.
Women, except for Chow. The victims were typically snatched from public areas and taken to some secluded nearby area. However, Sophia Nunez was killed in her own home. Though the perpetrator apparently used some kind of disguises or ruses while committing these crimes, sometimes wearing that Halloween mask that was described a couple times. Sometimes he would approach his victims asking for a ride or pretending to be homeless or addicted to drugs. Like, it's appearing that this person is multiple people because he's changing his appearance, changing his hairstyle, wearing different, masks and hats and
Right.
layers to this already very complex investigation. So there was also like wildfires and other things going on as well. So there's
Yeah.
factors requiring attention and resources from the investigators. However, they were able to figure out and kind of piece everything together and kind of what was going on and were able to make an arrest.
Oh, good.
Yeah, whether that surveillance video footage is what kind of, helped them a lot.
Oh, I'm sure.
Hard to say. I don't know if he was wearing a mask or one of his wigs or however he would change him.
Right.
Then on September 4th, 2006, Mark Goudeau was arrested due to matching DNA evidence found on the victims, specifically those two sisters from September of 2005.
Okay.
I kind of dug a little bit deeper into that one. So some of the information, like I was reading, and kind of like it kind of baffled me a little bit because what he did is he made them spit all over themselves and like rub dirt and just whatever all over their bodies, hoping that he would like mess the DNA evidence up because he knew he left it. He raped one of them. He knew it was there. Good thing it didn't work. But yeah, he was.
Gross.
I know. Like he would make them spit in their hands and just rub it on. So then on January 2007, Mark Goudeau faced two separate trials. One for 19 charges related to the September 20th attack on the two sisters. So that was rape and sexually assault. He was sentenced to serve 428 years. And for the other more than 70 felony offenses involving at least 33 victims in 13 separate attacks in the Phoenix metropolitan area, he received an additional 1,196 years. All 9 homicides are charged as first-degree murder, and he is convicted of all of them, receiving 9 life sentences for the murders. Georgia Thomas, Tina Washington, Romelia Vargas, Myrna Palma Roman, Liliana Sanchez Cabrera, Cheo Chu, Kristen Gibbons, Sophia Nunez, and Carmen Miranda. This sentence totals 1,634 years in Arizona State Prison, bringing this awful case to an end.
Even if they ran him concurrent, he's dead before he's gonna get out. I mean, like.
As he should be.
Yeah, and I realized that the community was baffled and the wife is like refusing to believe it, but there's DNA evidence, honey.
Yes, and the visual surveillances and all the witness. There's a lot.
These like people are alive and they're saying this is who did this.
Guy did it. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, our next person, our next psycho is not a serial killer. However, her name is Jodi Arias, and she was born July 9th, 1980, in Salinas, California. Trouble started for Arias in her early years. Her parents owned a restaurant in 95. Her father is diagnosed with a life-threatening disease, and so they need to move for his treatments. And she's a typical, like, teen, like, throwing a fit, doesn't want to move, and, like, causing a bunch of grief in the family, saying, "You ruined my life by moving me here."
Of course.
So she starts down this drugs and self-destructive behavior, and at age 17, in defiance, she moves out. She's like, "I'm out of here, I'm moving out." To make money, she drops out of school and decides to wait tables, moving herself in with her boyfriend, Daryl, whom beats her and has her living in squalor. And when I say squalor, I mean they're living in a trailer, not in a trailer park, on some random piece of property with no electricity or water running through it, okay?
Ugh. Gross.
So after a while, Eris does meet Travis. Well, she is still dating Daryl. She decides she wants to be with Travis, so she breaks up with Daryl for Travis and then moves back in with her family. Like, "I don't want to be with you anymore, right? I want to be with this Travis person, so I'm going to break up with you and move back in." Not with her parents, but ends up moving in with one of her relatives. And she decides a long distance relationship is going to be fine. So she's in California and Travis is in Arizona. They're traveling back and forth and, like, seeing each other, okay? Travis Victor Alexander was born July 28th, 1977 in Riverdale, California. Mr. Alexander grew up with drug-addictive parents, and at age 8 is moved in with his paternal grandparents. So they're the ones that actually end up raising him. At the time, he ends up joining the Mormon church. This is what his family, his paternal family, right?
Right.
And at age 18, he goes on a mission trip to Denver, Colorado, which apparently, I did a little research, that's usually where Mormon people go, like, as young adults for their first mission trip. They send them over to Denver, Colorado. Training and, like, get used to it and stuff. from there, they branch out to either other states or other countries or decide they don't want to do mission work. It's not for them. Alexander is also working as a stand-up comedic at this time and working for a company called Prepaid Legal as a salesman and a motivational speaker for them. He is their top salesman, which is why he is going in. He's going around the country. They're sending him to different locations to give these motivational speeches. In 2004, he moves to Mesa, Arizona, buys a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 4,000 square foot home for himself.
Dang, that's huge.
Yeah, he ain't got kids, he's not married, he just is making so much money that he wants to live in a nice place. He does end up renting out a couple of the rooms to some people that he knows so that he's not living alone. And Arias and Alexander meet in September of 2006 at a work conference in Las Vegas, Nevada. So they're in Las Vegas, Nevada. She's working for Prepaid Legal as well. He's coming in and doing this like speak, right? This is how they meet and they start dating. For a year and a half, they dated long distance intermittently. So apparently their relationship was kind of volatile, according to friends, and they would break it off like every other week. However, during this intermittent long distance relationship, Eris becomes infatuated with Alexander and says she's willing to convert to Mormonism. He loves the idea and is super ecstatic, actually ends up baptizing Eris himself at the end of 2006. September of 2006, when they start this crazy relationship, we're talking the end, like December. A few months later, that's a big, like, I'm not
Life.
saying don't, I'm not
Yeah.
saying don't convert, right? That's a huge life decision, and you're just like, oh yeah, I want to convert to be with you. Like, that should have been red flags for Alexander right there.
I don't know, trailer to McMansion. I mean,
I mean, yes. Yes, I agree with that. He didn't cut sex out completely, however. So obviously, a lot of religions, right? We don't have sex before we're married. This is the belief, and this is what they try to instill in everyone. And he's telling her it's okay, as basically as long as there's not penetration, right? So they're still doing other things. And then in September of 2006 to February of 2007, they sent 87,000 texts, emails, and DMs to each other.
what?
Yeah.
Cover style. That's a lot.
I mean, you would constantly have to be on your phone, right?
Yeah.
So Alexander's weakness was sex, and Jodi knew how to play it. They broke up the last time, but Alexander couldn't say no to sex, so they still would get together. So, like, they've broke up, in quotations, right? Because she's seeing other people, he's seeing other people, but they're still hooking up.
But not penetration wise, just like orally.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't bang me, but you can shuck this, you know. I mean, like,
Exactly.
okay.
They were not exclusive. However, every time he messaged her, she came running. There's a lot of head games going on. Yes, he ultimately is the victim, but he's playing head games with her too, right?
This is hard.
So she would use other guys to make him jealous, and Jodi voluntarily moved back to California to live with her family. Alexander was murdered in his home in Arizona, June 4th, 2008, while in the shower. The autopsy showed 27 lacerations, stab wounds, and cuts. I'm sorry, how many?
That's some passion.
Yeah, you were pissed off. The stab to the heart, the cut across the throat, and the shot to the head are what killed him. They don't actually know which one of these was the actual fatal, like, last, because they were all so horrific. They're unsure of which one ended him. On June 9th, 2008, Mesa, Arizona, 10:30 p.m., a police call is made. Police know someone is dead but have no clue if it's a murder or a suicide. When the police find the body, they can tell it's been decomposing. Alexander is only 30 years old. The roommate is home but has no idea that there's a dead body in the house. So
How
there's
would mansion?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of there's a couple other roommates, right? But the roommates had left, which is why he had invited her for the weekend. Okay. So the roommates had both left. They both were, one was like out of the town and the other one had went somewhere else. One comes home before the police are called, like a few days after he's murdered, but can't smell anything, doesn't know he's missing, because it's not like they hang out 24/7 even though they live in this house together. So the police quickly realize it's not the roommates, that they both alibis, but they have no idea who it is at this point. And the only thing they can think is the air conditioner in his bedroom is what kept the smell in the room instead of it leaking out into the rest of the house. 5 days earlier was the last anyone had talked to Alexander. The murder clearly happened in the bathroom, however, no murder weapon is found. The police did find bullet shell casing, hair samples, and a palm print in blood. The police found a camera in the washing machine, and the memory card has survived.
Oh, uh-oh.
That will come into play later. At the beginning, they didn't suspect Arias since she claimed to have been in California at the time, and her phone didn't ping in Arizona, so they didn't think anything of it. They were just going to leave her out of it. However, Arias kept calling and asking so many questions, the police started to suspect her. Then on June 26th, a call from the lab places Arias's DNA, fingerprint, and her left palm print at the scene. Arias had rented a car, shut off her phone, and the next time it pinged, a day later, she's in Las Vegas. The photos they find on the memory card are of Arias and Alexander in compromising positions. They're all time-stamped, placing Arias at the murder scene. It starts with Arias naked and then Travis in the shower 4 hours later. Piecing all this stuff together, but the memory card and the camera is for sure placing her there. And it shows that she's there, that he's taken all these photos of her in compromising positions. They do their deed, and he goes to take a shower, right? And she follows him into the shower and starts attacking him and taking pictures of it.
While she's attacking him?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Followed lastly up by photos taking of the crime scene during the crime. She's not in any, like, she doesn't put herself in any of these photos, but she's taking, like, photos of him randomly. And it might not be his whole body, it might be a piece of his body or whatever, but yeah, it's very disturbing images. On July 9th, 2008, they indicted her, which happened to be her birthday. Happy birthday. Arias waives her rights and agrees to talk. When she realizes her alibi won't hold up, she changes her story. So she's told the police the whole story, realizes they have her, and so she changes it. She makes up a man and a woman showing up to kill them, but they let her go. Why would they let you go? Did you go? You would have had to have escaped. And if it's 2-on-2, you probably aren't getting out of there.
Exactly.
She ended up telling 3 different stories to police, claiming innocence the whole time. The whole ordeal shook the town because someone so innocent can do this. Arias was loved by everyone. And then she's in jail now. She's awaiting trial. She is making friends with inmates. She's being a model prisoner. So the inmates love her. The staff doesn't have any problems with her, right? Not that they love her, but they are like, she's a great model citizen. Thousands of people end up outside the courthouse. They're called her groupies, by the way, during the trial. News coverage was national because she drew so much attention to herself. During the trial, it was revealed Arias had cracked into Alexander's Facebook and was tracking it to keep track of him. She just didn't want to agree to be broken up. Arias even stalked him to his new girlfriend's house. 1 week before his death, Alexander sent Arias one last message about them not being together. She murdered him, so no one could have him. The timeline is as follows. On June 2nd, 2008, Arias rents a car in California, drives to Mesa, Arizona on June 4th, and had sex and took pics. Arias got him vulnerable and then shoots him in the shower. When he stumbles to the sink, she starts stabbing him, then cuts his neck to the spinal cord, and she dragged him back to the shower and then cleaned up and left. I like all the way to the spinal cord, like, you, how how sharp was your knife? Like, how strong are you? Like, what the heck?
Passion does that though. She was just in
Ooh.
the moment. Ooh.
On her way out, she threw the camera in the washer and turned it on. Ayers went on the stand. She demanded to be on the stand. Her lawyer didn't want her to be. That caused a whole nother ruckus. She tried to say that her lawyer was not trying to get out of being her lawyer, which caused the judge to demand that he remain her lawyer. It was a whole thing.
She sounds very dramatic.
Very dramatic. She wants to be in charge.
And she's got her groupies behind her.
Yeah. And she wants to be in charge. So she didn't want her lawyer in charge. She wanted to be in charge. I'm sorry. If I'm accused of something, I need my lawyer
Yeah.
because I don't know the law. Eris says she killed Alexander because he was abusive. She used one conversation to say he was abusive. She had recorded him, a conversation they had that made him sound very demanding. Also, it kind of sounded like she enjoyed it. So, was it an actual argument? Was this some role play thing they were doing? Nobody knows. Arias said the gun belonged to Alexander. 18 days of being questioned on the stand where she cried fake tears. And on May 8th of 2013, after 15 hours of deliberations, Arias was found guilty. On April 13th, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. 20 minutes after the verdict is announced, she did an interview.
20 minutes? That's
Yep,
all.
all she needed to get herself together, I guess. Eris gave tons of interviews and kept claiming innocence. Eris wanted the death sentence, but at the last second, she decided she wanted to live. So, after two hung juries for the sentencing, she was actually sentenced to natural life sentence, meaning she will never get out unless she wins an appeal. She will die in prison. So Eris continues to make art in jail, selling it and sharing her wealth with other inmates. This is how she's paying for her commissary, but she's also winning. Some prisons do stuff to try to keep the inmates happy, right? So they'll do contests sometimes for extra things, and she won some contest and got her whole cell block some fancy feast. So not only is she selling art and sharing her money with her cell block, she's winning stuff for everybody, so she's very much still loved in jail. However, you will never guess how much the trial costs.
A lot.
$3 million.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Yes.
That, no wonder we poor. Come on. What?
Right.
I mean, I guess it was a lot of publicity, and she did have all the groupies, and she was very dramatic, and dragged it on. But $3 million,
$3 million.
crazy. And if that's just her, what about everybody else's trial? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, her trial was pretty lengthy. It was at the time one of the most expensive trials, because it was so lengthy because she demanded to be on the stand and that took so long and
Probably needed extra security for all those her little.
yes,
So yeah. Wow.
all the things, yes.
Well, let us finish this off with a little bit of the unexplained. So, Arizona has a cryptid creature called the Mogollon Monster. So, Arizona has its own version of Bigfoot. Legend goes that lurking along the Mogollon Rim region is generally described as a 10-foot tall ape like creature. Its face is hairless. However, the rest of its body is covered in a thick, dark, reddish or brownish, it varies, fur, and it has glowing red eyes. People describe an eerie silence prior to their encounter. The smell is reported like that of dead fish, and it's really terrible smelling like skunk or decaying peat moss. Basically, a stank, real bad. Some of the footprints that have been left behind have measured up to 22 inches long. So reports of this creature started in 1903 and apparently continue to this day. So, any of y'all ever heard of this creature? Smelt this creature? Let us.
I like how all the cryptid creatures so far have red glowing eyes, right?
Red glowing eyes.
Yeah. So we would like to thank you for joining us on our discoveries of Arizona this week. Please join us next week while we travel to Arkansas. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our adventures next week into killers, psychos, and the unexplained.
Bye-bye.
Bye!